We were going to talk about some more playoff games. But hit it.
Here it comes. And my eyes see.
Breaking news.
The here it comes part, when it involves Jerry Jones, takes a long time.
Here it comes.
Right, that part. Because you could see something coming, right?
My eyes see.
That's a lot.
You could see it coming. And the question is, when would it happen? And then we found out maybe it might not happen. The it being Mike McCarthy being retained as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones had all the way till Tuesday to make a decision. That's when his contract and that of the assistants would be up, and they needed to get something done. Otherwise, they would then be in the same coaching carousel as everybody else looking for a head coach. And you want to be early on that front because you want to get in the front of the line with a lot of people. Certainly when in this day and age you have to wait to interview people if they're involved in the playoffs, if you don't get them in the window that they're available to be talked to while they're in the playoffs. So you got to be early. You got to be quick. Or you got to be the Jets who fire somebody in week 6.
That's real early.
And there were 3 teams that had the jump on it. So if you're Jerry Jones, the here it comes part for breaking news takes a while. And it's finally hit. According to Tom Pelissero and various other members of the NFL news and information community, Mike McCarthy is not coming back. It was apparently a length of contract disagreement. And I don't know what that means, but for a guy that spent the entire year with no extra time on his contract past this year, I'm sure he wanted some form of security that the Cowboys clearly were not willing to give. And they are going their separate ways. And the Dallas Cowboys will indeed now be in the market for a new head coach. The problem is again, you take a look at the schedule that's being laid out because the NFL doesn't want coaches involved in divisional playoff weekend and then wild card weekend and then championship weekend, if that happens, to be flying all over the country and having conversations in person. And some are allowed to do it on Zoom, but not after a certain amount of times. It's a very difficult process to make heads or tails about if you're just on the outside looking in, or even if you're involved in it, which is why you got to be early. I think the Jets have probably interviewed about 20 candidates, the way it feels to me. They have been speed dating. The Bears have already interviewed, I think, 13 candidates, and they're, according to Tom Pelissero, waiting to see if Marcus Freeman's available. All that to say is the Cowboys are now in the coaching, interviewing market late, but that's part and parcel of everything else that the Dallas Cowboys do. They're late to sign their quarterback, and they're late to sign their wide receiver, and we'll find out if they're late to sign their defensive pass rusher extraordinaire in Micah Parsons. We assume they will be, but that's just the way they do business. That said, who wants to be the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys? I imagine there are lots of people, and this is going to get crazy, people.
Crazy.
It's going to get totally nuts because everybody that you mentioned, from Ben Johnson and everybody else that you want to get who's currently in the NFL playoffs that you could have gotten to, like everybody else did in the last week, the Cowboys are now going to have to wait. They're going to have to wait. And in that interim, who's going to fill the vacuum? You know it. Names like Prime. Dion.
Oh, yeah. I'm seeing that everywhere right now.
Yeah.
Dion.
You're going to hear, I'm sure, Kellen Moore's name is going to pop up.
Dude.
Scratch UNC, a $10 million check.
You're not aiming high enough. I'm talking about.
You're talking top tier.
I'm talking about somebody handing Bill Belichick a Carolina blue cocktail napkin and say, here's a pen, write, I resign as the HC of UNC. And you come to Dallas.
Could have done that last year, though.
Well, look at the one guy that the Dallas Cowboys cannot hire is being introduced as the 16th head coach of the New England Patriots, who they could have had last year, and they bounced their guy early enough to hire Mike Vrabel.
I'm okay with that one.
They are going, I mean, they're, I don't know. You hear the name John Gruden, that he could come off a Big Cat's couch.
Oh, that would be incredible.
You know?
Oh, boy.
And, you know, he could be done, you know, partying with the Barstool guys.
He's having a good time, it looks like.
Yeah, I know.
He could stay.
And he could come back.
I love it.
That ain't going to happen.
I love it. It's going to be a big, splashy name. It has to be, because that's how Jerry operates.
He does normally do that, but he did it once. He did it twice. He did it with Jimmy.
And Bill Parcells.
And he did it with Parcells.
Yeah.
And I guess you could say, what, was Switzer splash higher?
Name-wise.
It was a name, but
It was a name.
I disagree. Like, Jason Garrett wasn't a name.
He wasn't a
Gailey
name.
wasn't a
No,
name.
Campo wasn't a name.
wasn't a name.
No.
Wade Phillips had a name, but he wasn't a name for...
And McCarthy was a name, but, you know...
I mean, he was a Super Bowl winner, so...
How about this one? I'm going to throw one out there. You mentioned Jason Garrett. What was he? Former Cowboy quarterback. How about Tony Romo?
No, dude. I don't... No.
He's got...
First of all, Romo's not taking the pay cut.
I remember saying this when he first started
Number
the
one.
gig, and people were like, no, there's no way.
I don't think he... No. I think he...
I don't know, man. Rich, you talked about how smart he is on the grease board.
I know
feel like Romo could coach him up.
He'd have to take a pay cut.
It's more than just X's and O's and saying, let's unlock Dak. By the way, that's that one I shall reject.
Okay.
Upon hearing.
Yeah.
And Dion as well. You know, I know he said on Good Morning America, was it where he was on, that he wants to coach his sons, plurals. He wants to make sure S plurals.
Yep.
And that's just, I think, a way of, you know, and I think then the next question was, well, wait a minute, you know, are you happy at Colorado? He said, I'm happy at Colorado. He told us that he was in negotiations to stay there because he wanted to look out and see his face on the side of the mountain, right? Out of his window.
Yep.
And they're not getting Shador. They're too far down. And plus, you know, if you're, I thought that was just Dion's way of saying, by the way, I got a second draftable son out there. But maybe he does want to coach the Dallas Cowboys. That is something that would entice any other human being on the planet that's in the coaching industry, period, end of story. And I am sure there are folks in Western Pennsylvania who would love to just say,
swap.
Take our coach. And I'm wondering if the Dallas Cowboys would be interested in that. On Overreaction Monday, because you sent a text to me over the weekend. I know apparently Jimmy Johnson said this on Fox.
Oh, I was ahead of everybody.
But you sent this You sent this like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And I said, put it in Overreaction Monday. You're like, how about the Steelers and the Cowboys swap coaches? And would Tomlin be interested in an Andy Reid type change of venue? Would he be interested in, okay, well, Dak's definitely better than what I got here.
Right.
And I can bring a change of culture down to Dallas. And I know what Jerry Jones's MO is, but he doesn't change coaches a lot. He does not. I mean, he's not the Roonies.
No.
Okay.
But he keeps guys a little bit longer.
But he can be that guy who just says to Tomlin, calls the Steelers up, you know, and then the Steelers replace him with the toll taker from Pittsburgh named Mike McCarthy, who can maybe bring an offensive mindset that Steelers fans would love. Or McCarthy doesn't come home and they go ahead, the Steelers, and get some new, young, offensive-minded head coach with a CEO mentality and say, how would you like to spend the next 20 years of your profession here, just like every one of your predecessors, pretty much. And this whole thing is now in play. All of it. Everything I just said is what I meant by how this is just going to be crazy. Nuts.
It's gonna be
Now,
nuts. It's
the
gonna be crazy
leading
this
candidates to pursue Mike, according to Ian Rappaport, are the Saints and the Bears. McCarthy, I believe, has history with the Saints as well. I think he started there before going to San Francisco.
The Saints were the first team I started hearing.
Right?
That had interest.
And then the Bears, I mean, who, according to Tom Pelissero, would like to talk to Marcus Freeman as well. And if Marcus Freeman is available to be talked to, maybe the Cowboys do that too.
Yeah, McCarthy was Saints OC 2000 to 2004 before going to San Francisco.
And then he went from there to Green Bay.
Yeah, 1 year with the Niners and then was the Green Bay head coach in 06.
I'm telling you, the coaching carousel just spun off its axis now that the Cowboys have entered the fray. And everybody out there is going to start talking, and you know the Cowboys are going to take their time. Because, first of all, the rules
they don't rush nothing.
mandate it, and they're late to the party. And two, that's the way Jerry Jones operates. And, of course, there's the other wild card aspect of it, which is maybe they've already kicked a tire or two and know where they're going next, which is why they took the stance with McCarthy that they did, and then everybody's going their separate ways. Oh, my goodness gracious. And this is why the Patriots moved fast. This is why the Patriots moved fast. Let's discuss this now. And we were going to talk about it later when Vrabel's done. But actually, we'll wait till his soundbite is done. I want to hear what he's got to say. He's talking right now to the New England media.
I'm reading all these sound bites. I'm so fired up.
I'm sure you are. 844-204-RICH, number to dial. Let's go to Dan in Wisconsin. Dan, you're on the Rich Eisen Show.
Dan?
What's up, sir?
Yeah, you guys kind of jumped into it, but I mean, it seems like the obvious kind of way that could go is Marcus Freeman open for that Pittsburgh job, and then Tomlin straight into the Cowboys job. Big splash, solid, strong presence, and just every bit of that makes sense now that McCarthy's out. So I would think McCarthy would probably have just about his pick of the litter of the jobs that are out there.
I don't know. We're going to find that out, man. Thanks for the call, Dan. I think we're going to find out what his market value is, and I imagine his agents already did this legwork. They're not just going to dig in and be obstinate unless it was so easy to be digging in and obstinate about, what if the Joneses offered a 2-year extension, 1 year? We'll try it. We'll run it back.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the details of this.
You know what I mean? That McCarthy would say, I'll test the market, because there's no guarantee. Belichick and Vrabel went through the coaching carousel sieve last year, and nobody caught them. They went right through.
Yep.
Belichick is taking photographs with teenagers right now.
Yeah. Hold on,
that he's asking to come play for his college football team.
Let's check Bill's IG. Oh, nothing since the 10th.
Honestly.
Busy.
So you're going into a coaching interviewing world that told Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel, the hottest coaching candidate this year, no thanks. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.